to Education 3000. Welcome to our series of video. I am Noemi Paimal, the founder of Education 3000. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Naomi. Hi, everybody watching at home. I'm David Fegan, the International English Program Coordinator at Education 3000. As Naomi says, we're getting towards the end of our series, our Level 1 series of Education 3000 videos called Co-Recreating Education. What are we going to look at in this video, Naomi?
Today is very, 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 very important. I think this video is going to help everybody. And it's about non-violent communication.
What?
Very,
no, I'm kidding.
None. What?
So that was a little bit violent, that communication I just showed. So we're going to look at how to not be like that.
Because sometimes, yeah, we are violent and we hurt the other person and then we hurt ourselves and then we regret. It's like, oh, why did I say that? And all night long you are, oh my gosh, why? And then we can prevent all that. And you know that non-violent communication, you can teach that from very early age, from 3 years old, 4 years old, and we will see what it is and why it's so important. It will help you and us and me with your own kids, with your family, with your boss, with the colleagues, with your neighbor, with your mother-in-law. So what a tool. It can save you from very embarrassing situation and violent situation. And then that way we get peace in the home, in the house, in the schools, in your neighborhood, and then little by little we have peace in the world. So it's a very important tool. Okay, that's the end of the video. No, nice, a joke. Let's go and see the slides. Can you see my screen? Yeah, I think you want this bigger, right?
Full screen.
Full screen.
All right, so nonviolent communication.
And you, just Dave, just to make sure, we are not talking about to be, oh, now I have to be non-violent and to accept everything and I am a victim and I won't say anything, so I won't create problems. No, this is not what we are talking about. It's like to communicate what we need or whatever action we have to do together, but in a nice way. It's not to just, be quiet and just aguantar. How do you say aguantar? Like you take in and
to suffer, to just, yes, put up with something.
No, this is a fake idea of no violent communication and peace culture. It's so to be assertive, is it English? Assertive, but in a nice way. When you express yourself
on top of nice, sorry, Naomi, to cut you off, on top of nice, just to clarify that in a way that's productive. Like it's not just being nice. It's not, it is being nice. It's communicating in a more positive way, but productive. So like Naomi said, not just letting everything happen to you, being passive, like this hurts me, but I'm just going to put up with it. No. And it's not just means like, oh, that's okay. No, but it's a better way to communicate.
Yes.
Better results for everybody, and you're not hurting yourself, you're not hurting others.
Yes. You don't hurt the others and you don't hurt yourself. And at the end, we call about, a little bit, we will mention the new curricula. We call it curricula for life and prairie education. And that was called before special education, but we don't like this word. So we will cover all that today. I'm never tired of just recommending this book again and again and again.
So another reminder that, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg, very, very, very good.
And a reminder, it was the first person to really make the world aware of the importance of peace culture and nonviolent communication. And he did a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. And he was doing, you can see it down there, the giraffe and the coyote. He was making like, how do you kill marionettes?
Puppets, a puppet show.
Oh, and those puppets are so famous all around the world, and he did incredible job with countries in war, countries that really hate each other. And he was able to do this reconciliation through the nonviolent communication and restore dialogues, and really, please get this book. It's on YouTube, of course, not YouTube, on the website, on the internet. And starting tonight, get all the tools. We will give you a summary, of course, here. See, from very little kids, you can introduce the tools. And that's a great gift you give to them. It's part of the pink petal in the 7-petal proposal. And those children, these kids, they learn for their own life. It's a great, great, great advantage, great tool. And
so, Naomi, sorry to interrupt you. Something I kind of want to invite our viewers to do is maybe think of when there's been a problem with another person, whether it was a friend, your parent, your child, your partner, and maybe the problem wasn't so big, or it wasn't something that was unsolvable, but you just couldn't communicate to each other. Yes. And that was the real problem.
Yes. So, exactly. And one step we really encourage teachers and parents is to teach the children and oneself how to spot your emotion. Because sometimes you say, "How are you, Dave?" And you will answer maybe
good,
not good, and that's all. No, there is a vast array of emotions, and we have to know all of them and be more subtle with that. Actually, there is supposedly 2,200 words to express different emotions. And the more you can pinpoint which one it is, it's better, you can deal with it better. Or sometimes I'm just tired and I think this is, I'm cranky. No, I'm just tired. So you have to know exactly our physical level and emotional level, and to be able to read that in oneself and in others. Look at all this list. It's amazing.
Once you can recognize it in yourself, it makes it a lot easier to identify the problem, because sometimes when we're angry, we want to blame other people, but maybe we're feeling insecure, or maybe we're feeling scared and we're projecting that onto somebody else. But if you look at the root of the problem through that feeling, okay, I'm feeling scared. Why am I feeling scared? Because I'm worried about this job. Okay, so I'm actually doing this to myself. I'm not angry with you, Naomi. And so it makes then communication a lot more effective, a lot more positive, and you're not hurting, like we said, yourself or the other person.
Yes, and I don't take it personal. So I understand maybe it's something happening with Dave, but I won't react, and I won't react negatively, which is worst. What is your favorite column? Maybe confusion. Do you want to read this one? Some people will say, I'm confused, but look at that. You have so much way to be confused.
So yeah, it's definitely not my favorite, but it's probably one, like, you think about teaching, and if a child is confused or a teenager is confused, maybe they're feeling uncertain, maybe they're feeling upset, doubtful, maybe they're feeling indecisive, like they can't make the decision, maybe they're feeling perplexed, embarrassed, hesitant, shy, lost, unsure, pessimistic, or tense. So I mean, like, there's quite a range there, and how you might deal with that emotion, or yourself, or if you're a teacher or a parent, will probably change. Like if your child is feeling embarrassed, okay, like that's one thing. If they're feeling tense, pretty different kind of, emotion there, and how you might deal with it.
And this is a very short list. I mean, in all the language, in the whole world, we have so many ways to describe our emotion. So now, how should we start with a non-violent communication process? Just remember, there is always 4 steps.
I'm going to pretend like I'm a teenager and I'm just about to finish high school, and I'm determined to go to art school. But Naomi, my mother, doesn't listen.
Okay.
Or I feel like she doesn't listen to me. So I go into the kitchen one day and I say...
We do the bad way, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm cooking.
And I said, hi, Mom, how are you? I'm tired after school. So maybe I'm feeling a bit grumpy because I'm tired. I'm still frustrated about the fact that, you know, I feel like my mom's not listening to me. Hi, Mom.
Hello.
What's for dinner?
Cooking.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry. What's up?
Are you going to tell me? What are you cooking?
Yeah, you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
It's always you are like that.
No, you're in a bad mood as well.
Yeah, you can't even say anything to me. It's always the same. You are tired. You don't want to go. I know you want to go to your art school. You don't want to go to the law school. You are the worst.
But look at you, Mum. You're tired as well. You work too much. And
Yeah, you attack me now. It's always like, and then you make me shout and
And why do you keep talking about this art school stuff? Or why do you always use that against me?
Always you always art. You know what? I'm tired of it. I prefer to go.
And what about dinner?
Okay, this is exactly what we don't have to do. So now let's go back to the right way. I'm going to see the steps again. Because I felt attacked and you felt attacked. Or were you attacked by me? Yes or no?
Well, yeah, no, it probably stemmed from the fact that we were both frustrated because we hadn't been able to communicate about this problem, that we felt we weren't listening to each other. And we talked to each other when we were tired as well, which is never a good moment to maybe, you got to be careful when you're tired, right?
Yeah. And just remember a good tip. When you start by you are the worst, or I feel you are so bad, or you are upset, we are attacking, quote, quote, see? So the best way to start is not saying you are terrible, because we attacked and we will receive probably a counter-attack, and then we counter-attack, and then the tone of voice is going up, and then when we lose the situation, and then we regret that. Because you all love your son and we all love our student, and we don't want that, especially with our loved one. So we always start with the situation is, oh, Mom, are you busy? May I talk? You know, the situation is, Dad said that, I say that, I want to go to art school. Well, in our case, you want to go to the art school, right?
Exactly. And something that we want to just make clear.
And your dad wants you to go to the law school.
The mum and the dad. But what I want to say is for our viewers, this is not something.
No, I wanted you to be a doctor because it was my dream.
But before we get into this example, I just want to make clear for our viewers, this takes practice. Like we're like just as humans, we're always trying to be better and working, and sometimes we make mistakes. We're not expecting that your 15-year-old child is going to come home and say, "Hi, Mom, how are you?" Look, it's going to take practice. But that's why we also said it needs to start in education at the young ages, so they have those tools. But maybe if your child doesn't have those tools, as a parent, you have a little bit more responsibility. You need to be patient. It won't always work, but the more you practice it, I think that you'll start to see the results. Your child will start to see the results. You don't have those horrible feelings. You reach positive conclusions. So imagine, like, as the child, maybe I'm 17, but I've sort of had this as part of my education from very young. I know how to communicate in a non-violent way with my parents. I still feel annoyed. I don't feel very good, but I get home and the situation is that I'm feeling, frustrated. So I say to my mother, "Hi, Mom, look, I'm a little bit tired today, but I keep thinking about next year. And the situation is, I guess, that maybe we're thinking a little bit differently about the topic. And for me, it makes me feel a little bit frustrated and a little bit maybe not supported. But what about you? Like, how are you feeling? I noticed that you're also maybe not feeling super positive about it as well."
Okay, so that's step 1 and step 2. The situation is, and very clear. My dad wants me to go to the law school. You want me to go to the medicine or medical school. I love art. my goal, my passion is art, and this is a situation. Did you notice in my voice any
Judgment?
judgment,
No.
attacking, fear, anger? You just describe the situation. It's like when you have to ask for some money back, you know, you give a loan and you have to give the money back. Just the situation is 2 years ago, I give you a loan.
Yeah, I loaned you.
$1,000. We settled that in 1 year, you will reimburse me. And now that's 1 more year. And you describe the situation without any emotional issues into it, or not.
And not making the other person feel like they want to attack.
Like, oh, this is terrible. You were about to give me this money back, and now look, I am in the street, and you cry and you shout. No, just describe the situation. I noticed you for 2 days in a row you were late to the meeting. I'm just describing this situation. I didn't say, oh, you are always late. No, you just describe. And you
so that means the person is more receptive to you, right? They're more likely to listen to you rather than start to feel like this person's attacking me.
Exactly.
And the second thing I did, I said how I feel. I feel like this. Not you. You're not making me feel like this, but no, I feel this way. I feel this way.
Or I feel ignored. I feel sad. But I feel. Okay. Not I feel you are taking advantage of me. This is again attacking. No, I feel my own feelings. That's all. And if you are in a professional environment, if you are at a job, you may, Marshall Rosenberg said you may skip the number 2 because people are not used to talk about feelings in a professional environment. But in the family or even with your student, yeah, you put the feeling. I feel ignored, I feel sad, I feel depressed with this situation.
So in the
case, how did you feel about the fact you can't go to your art school?
So I feel frustrated, I feel disappointed, I feel angry, I feel that I'm not being supported. Okay. So after that, I can express my need, right?
Correct. So what would you say? The need is not a request yet.
And so I guess based on the way I'm feeling, I need to feel supported, and I like with my dreams, and I don't need to feel frustrated about like my future. It's something that I want to feel excited. I need to feel excited, positive.
To be recognized in your talent, in your own decision, self-empowered. So that's the need. And then after the need, we go straight to the request. And the request is very straightforward. Like be very clear with the request. In your case, what is it?
So I guess in my case, the request is to go to art school. I mean, you know, different family situations, different situation. Maybe the art school is free and it's simply a case of not disappointing the parents. So my request is that I want to go to art school and I want to feel supported. Maybe in another situation, your parents want to pay for your education. So my request is that I'm allowed to follow my dreams. I understand that I also need to sustain myself, support myself in the future economically. Depends on the situation, right? But the key request here is that I'm asking to be able to follow my dreams, what I think will make me happy in the future.
And look, Dave, just by the tone of your voice, I really want you to go to an art class. I mean, as if I were your mom and not in the theater, I can understand now your passion. Now I can understand the way you described to me the 4 steps. I didn't feel any, how do you say, any attack to me or to your dad. I'm still in the role actually. And you convinced me because you went through the 4 steps. Yeah, I want to support you.
And again, it might not be that easy
right now. And we do the 4 step with Dad again, and he will understand. I'm sure, Dave. Let's go, baby. And then we have the dialogue and the blah, 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 and the win-win solution. An alternative, maybe Dave can work at night and pay half of the tuition and Dad can pay the other half. Or maybe he can have the art, but then on the side, he can have administration or something, online to complete. I mean, there's so much possibilities. It's called to find solution A, B, C, D, which is called lateral thinking. And you see, by the tone of the voice, we want to go on with the conversation. What kind of art do you like? And I didn't feel any violence in the second setup. I don't know, your listeners or person watching now the video, did you feel anything? I felt empathy. Literally, the word is empathy.
And I think when you're having these kind of difficult conversations, these steps are so important because you're able to succeed in the purpose of the conversation, of the communication. You want to find a solution to something. But if I say in the first one, you're not letting me go to art school, like you're a bad mom, the rest of the conversation is not going to be about what I need to talk about. It's just going to be about fighting and who is the best at arguing.
Yes.
So
fighting,
at the very beginning.
Sorry, go ahead. It's
so
violent.
It's very interesting that if we're dealing with a situation like this and we the first step we get wrong, the conversation is actually a complete waste of time. It doesn't achieve anything, and you're going to have to then do it again.
And then it will lead, it's called the escalada de poder. It's like power escalating.
The steps of power, the steps to power.
So you want to be right, and no, I was right, and then it's endless. When you see this start of process, we have to stop right now, especially with young people and children. So now there is a way to do that in a group. So that's called peace circle.
And how do you do a peace circle using nonviolent communication, Naomi?
Yeah, what we saw before, it was 2 persons together. When you have a group, you basically have the same steps, but you need a good facilitator, and you need that the whole group will do the step 1. Everybody is saying the situation is with a normal tone of voice. The facilitators is helping if somebody just will go straight to attacking violence or I don't know. So everybody, it takes time. If you do a peace circle, it takes 2 to 4 hours sometimes. So you have to be aware of that. Get a professional facilitators if the issue is kind of difficult. That's my recommendation. Everybody will say the situation in their own words. So it's like they almost a catharsis, no? They say, but in a very nice tone of voice. Second, the feelings. And here the facilitators ask to help. I feel sad. We don't say, I feel you make me sad and upset each time you do this. No, this is attacking. No, I feel sad. I feel all the list of emotion we saw. Everybody, one by one. Then we can take some, maybe a little break. We go to the next one. My need is. So as a group, my need is, I don't know, everybody will arrive on time, everybody not shouting in this group, all the needs. And sometimes we write down everything that helps people to stay focused and to remember their needs. And then we do the last round, the request. So I request this. And then the dialogue where everybody's listening to everybody. And then the resolution and what we decide to do together. If we do the 4 steps, usually that's it. We don't have to do again and again a peace circle. And it's very nice. And the end, usually people will hug and will eat together something. And that's it. You can feel the energy went down. The everything is like much more respectful and in harmony. Now, one more thing. If you do a peace circle because of a third person, let's say in a school, Peter is doing some bullying to everybody and he's biting everybody. So the kids are upset. So in that kind of case, the person doing bullying is not in the peace circle. you have all the children together and we say, okay, today we noticed the situation is Peter had beaten everybody, not everybody, 3%, you put real figures. And that there is some bullying with 5%, and the ambiance, the energy in the classroom is terrible.
The ambient, the energy.
Energy. And then they decide. Again, they do the circle, and then it's a different, they have to say, it's a different procedure, but at the end, they end up with some resolution. And then the next day they say to Peter, we did a peace circle and we are going to do that and try to play with you more. But if you bite us, we will stop. I mean, very clear. And it works very well. And all that is in our website. We put some recommendation in a book called Active Peace, 3000.
Because
so that's
as well, carrying those feelings, like the children probably feel pretty bad after that. You know, like another student's bitten them. I remember when I was at school as well, I got bitten, and obviously when I was in primary school, and I think I probably cried and I felt, like a little bit unsettled, and maybe after that angry, and so those emotions go through the day. So to be able to process yes. them, sort of in the moment, and then you can get rid of them, you can let go of them. You're not sort of making yourself feel all angry and uncomfortable, yes. And you go home and you feel relaxed and good. Okay, like it's not nice, but it's gone. It's in the past now, and you can continue and breathe deeply. And
we don't hide the problem. We do the peace circle and we handle the situation in a nice way, mm-hmm. and with common decision. And when you have these techniques, wow, you can do it at school and then your home and work as well. So just to remind you, let's say we are all together. Round 1, the situation is. Round 2, I feel blah, blah, blah. Round 3, I need to feel this and that, or I need this or that. And 4th round is, I can contribute. See, the peace circle is a little bit different. And then we
have to look for positive solutions, right?
Positive solutions. And we need a facilitator for that. Somebody who can stop if somebody is attacking, or can say, so you meant this and that, who can paraphrase and make sure everything is well understood with the right tone of voice and the respect. So it's very good tool.
And that 4th step in the 4th round, what I can contribute. So in the example of the student who's maybe biting the children, who's doing the bullying, we're not saying that we want that person to leave and to be left out and to be sad, because probably if they're bullying other students, there must be a reason behind that as well. We don't want the children to keep getting hurt though, but that I can contribute. It's okay, like you did this to me, but it's not, I'm going to get you back. It's like, okay, like this is not okay, but trying to recognize, well, this is maybe what I can do to help the situation. And then the next day when you talk to that student, it's maybe, it's involving everybody and trying to look for solutions. Again, like we said with this idea of nonviolent communication, it's not saying that this student just can keep biting other students, but at least at the beginning, we're trying to find a way that everybody is happy. Maybe if that student keeps doing things like that, okay, there's going to be a limit where like that's not okay, and this has happened this many times where we need to think of another solution because you're hurting me. But yeah, I like that 4th round where we're also thinking like, this is what I can also give, even though maybe I'm not happy or I don't feel good, I can also do this to help.
Yeah, in the case of bullying, for instance, we have 2 more steps. Like, it's called me too. Me too, I have moment of anger. Me too, once I bite or I beat. So it's called the me too. And then find what happened to Peter. So it's a maybe. Maybe he's not having fun at home. Maybe he has some kind of problem. So you build up empathy. And with that, it's much easier to solve the problem. So we have 2 more steps in that case. Can I go on?
Yep. Let's continue.
The situation is, Dave, time is flying. And my feeling is a little bit anxiety about finish on time. and I need to feel good. So can we contribute to speed up?
Of course.
No, just joking.
I feel good
Let's
about it.
go. Something very cool. It's called listening circle, and it's not part of nonviolent communication. It's like preparing the kids or the student to listen to each other. So it's known in Montessori. It's an activity they do every day. It's called the line. So they go and circle around, let's say, a round thing or a carpet. And the only exercise is to listen to the other person without interfering, interrupt. And
Without
the
interrupting?
teachers, they don't say anything. They have to let the children to understand the situation to be able to respect everybody. It's very nice. And you can do it anytime. It's just to let go your emotion, to express yourself in a safe environment. It's not when there is a conflict, it's all the time. Like Elsie, the same way we have a shower for emotion where you let them go. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay, so it's called the listening circle. And this is a game I wanted to add. It's called Montessori Silence Game. So it's a good practice to go inside, especially if you feel tension. So they close their eyes, they don't listen to anything. They go inside of themselves. And they can hold like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, according to the situation. And it's called Silence Game by Dr. Montessori, Maria Montessori. So there's a lot of games and activities to prepare yourself to this famous nonviolent communication, peace culture, respect for each other. So that's the first part of today. Is that any comments?
No, I think we discussed it a lot, right? So we invite our viewers to comment below or to get in touch, of course, on Facebook and Gmail, but we'll talk about that at the end. We're going to look at curricula for life, Naomi. What are we looking at here?
Yes, a lot of people are not nowadays conformed.
They don't agree, or
they don't agree, they don't feel comfortable with actual curricula, or you can say syllabus, which is a study program. Framework and all the topic and subject we have to pass. So we changed the idea as P3000, we called it Curricula for Life, and we want to renew or update the curricula to something more useful, more adapted to our situation and the future situation as well, more adapted as well to the real necessity of the children and their way of learning. So that's an invitation to everybody and to the Ministries of Education to review this famous curricula, make it more flexible, maybe have some topics in the morning and pure workshop in the afternoon when you can cover the 7-petal proposal, the 7-petal school proposal. So we won't discuss all that. It's a very long subject, but be aware of that. And be aware of pluri-education. You know what we call by pluri-education?
So including everybody, because
yes,
we're all special, we all need love, we all deserve an education.
Before there was calling that special education. Then after that, inclusive education. But it was them and us. And now we decided to say pluri-education with P3000, where we include everybody. We all have needs. I have needs. I mean, and I'm special as well. And we all need loves. And that to make it more horizontal. So we changed the word for pluri-education. And that's it. Oh, just maybe to mention this book, In Perfect Peace, by Munoz. And then we will see the next books in the next video, because we will talk about peace.
So all of these videos, all of this series, the level 1 series, co-recreating education, you can check out on our YouTube channel. It's in the description below, along with our website, where there's loads and loads and loads of free resources. Please check it out. Get in touch on Facebook or email leave a comment below as well. Give us a like. We want to be co-creating and recreating education together.
Exactly. And thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Naomi. Thanks, everybody watching at home. Please stay tuned for the final videos of the series. What are we going to look at in the next video, Naomi?
Next video, we will go on with peace culture to see more what it is about. So it's a very important subject as well.
Perfect. So we've talked a lot about it. We're gonna investigate it in more detail in the next video. Stay tuned. Thank you, Naomi. Thanks everybody watching at home. See you next time.
And Dave, after that, I have to talk to you. The situation is. See you.